Before we get into this juicy episode of the Schaub Show covering Nate Diaz, Jake Paul, it went down this last Saturday. Phoenix, I will see you this freaking Friday. 2 shows, stand up live in Phoenix, Arizona, August 11th, this freaking Friday. And then Omaha, Nebraska, one night only, August 16th. Kansas City, Missouri, one night only, August 17th. Then Covina, Laugh Factory with Brian Callen and myself. We're together for the first time in a hot second. That's September 8th through the 9th in Covina, California. Then Spokane, Washington, September 21st through the 23rd. Get your tickets. See you this Friday, Phoenix. Take your shot at huge wins with DraftKings Sportsbook. You could win big with money lines, props, parlays, and so much more. Right now, new customers can score $150 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5 on anything. You have the fight night this Saturday with Vicente Luque and Dos Anjos. You got a lot of stuff to bet on. You got MLB popping right now. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use code SCHAUB. That's SCHAUB show. That's code SCHAUB show only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com Sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms.
And now, Brandon Thick Boy Schaub.
What is up, fam? Monday, August 7th. It is a glorious day here. It don't get it twisted. It's hot here, but nothing like a Texas Austin hot. I think they're going like over 20 days, over 102. Cal and I were walking around on Saturday in Austin, Texas. Dude, I sweated out my shirt. I sweated out my jeans. It's not the end of the world, though. Houston, that humidity, that's different. Austin, I can deal with it. And there's AC, so cry me a river. You know? You're from Texas, Chin.
I know, but I remember it being super hot, but we had AC. Even like the little unit by the window.
You can navigate your way through. Yeah. If people can live in Vegas and Phoenix, you can navigate your way through it. Speaking of Phoenix, I'll be there this Friday. 2 shows, stand up live, baby. Stand up live, 2 shows on Friday. That's this Friday. Then Saturday, I'll be at the UFL fights with Chin, Browse.
Yeah. Big
J Schaub, Shark Eyes, Doll Smile. We'll all be there, man. UFL's going down. Be a fun one. We'll be at JT's Wings. Did you go with me last time to JT's Wings?
Never.
Ooh.
Jay's like, you have to go. So,
yeah. We go every time. Yeah, it's the best of the best. Best wings you ever try. Best thing you put in that mouth, Playboy. You feel me?
All right.
Yeah, all right, dog. But yeah, shout out to Austin. It was a great time. Did the fight companion, Mr. Joseph Rogan, Eddie Bravo. Callen was on stage, so he missed it. We did the fight companion for Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, and also the UFC fight night. There's the boys. There's the boys. We had a grand old time, man. We had a dinner right before this that Brian was able to go to because it was at 5. And it was me, Rogan, Eddie, Brian, and Alex Jones.
Wow.
It was an interesting dinner because, Brian's kind of that woke left cuck vibe. And then you're dealing with 5 savages on the other side between me out. Now, I should put it like this. When it comes to like politics and the, conspiracies, it's like it would go, Alex Jones is over here. Eddie's right behind him. Then Rogan's here, and then I'm here, and then Brian's all the way over here. So it is 4 against 1. And Brian was trying to say that Jeffrey Epstein was not murdered, and boy, he lost that round 10-6. Boy, did he pick a fight he could not win. I mean, they were just dropping facts on him after fact. I mean, it got ugly. It got ugly. I didn't say a word. I was just like, Jesus Christ, this is throwing the towel, Callan. Throwing the goddamn towel. It was a great time, man. Next one we might do in September if they announce Izzy versus Sean Strickland, which is the word. Heard it's a Strickland visa issue. Is that the rumors going around?
Yeah, that's a rumor. But apparently they seem like they're working through it, so it should happen.
Hopefully, yeah, because September 6th, not too far away. What was that 4 weeks away? 3 weeks away? 3.
Damn it. Yeah, it's already freaking August 7th right now.
But I'm sure Izzy and Strickland are training. They're just like, hey, the UFC's probably like, let's figure out the visa issues. But
Yeah.
Hopefully they announce that freaking soon. That's
UFC
a great fight. The only shame on that is because it wasn't announced sooner. We're not getting like the build up because Strickland goes hard in the paint.
A little too hard sometimes.
Depends your cup of tea. Yeah. Speaking this week, however, Coach Thiccc revealed the team was ready to head down under as soon as it was signed off by local authorities. All signs are pointing in a good direction, but right now all he's working on is getting his visa in order and hopefully in the gym. The signs look like it's a yes. It's all pointing in a good direction, but hasn't been official yet. So we're kind of a holding pat.
Just that visa part, yeah.
They'll get it. The UFC's gonna get it done because Australia. That's a huge fight. Izzy doesn't. There's no other opponent. They need Izzy to headline that fight. We guarantee it gets done. Come on, hey Australia, be cool. It's not like Sean Strickland's just some random dude either. You know, you could also fly in private and just avoid all that. There's ways around that.
That would be dope if they did private. I mean, yeah, because I don't know if he has like a felony or something. It's tough. Yeah,
there's ways around that.
Yeah.
There's ways around that. But let's get right into it, man. You had UFC Fight Night. Tatiana Suarez is your MVP of the night. She's coming off a long layoff, fighting, a freaking monster in Jessica Andrade, and just bullied that girl. Just bullied her. Tatiana's just such a freak when it comes to women's strawweight division. She used to fight at 125. At 115, she looks freaking great. And she just dominated Jessica Andrade, which is no punk. She's ranked number 5. Suarez is number 10, which, she should be. I know she had to get a fight and get a win over a top 5 opponent, but she'd be 3 or 2, her skill level. But still undefeated. She's already beat the champ in Alessa Grasso. She's had some other big wins. She's the Khabib of the women's division. I just don't see anybody being there, And your girl Zhang Weili can come get it. Covina's finest, Tatiana Suarez, getting it done, man. Yeah, I think everybody knew that was going to happen though. Justin Jacoby had a great knockout. Diego Lopes had a fantastic submission armbar out of the triangle. And so that leads us to Billy Quarantino got it done. Definitely gave him the decision, 29-28. Takedowns, if you think that was controversial, then you don't know the scoring system. When it comes to Cory Sandhagen, who's my boy, he hurt his, he said he tore his tricep in the first round, which is a big deal. I didn't know that. Obviously we don't hear any of the commentating. I don't know if they announce it on the broadcast. We don't hear any of it when we're doing fight commands. So not knowing that, I was just like, oh, he's playing it too safe. Now, I get why he played it safe. I do and I don't because, and they said Dana walked out during the 4th round. He's like, I'm out of here, man. So it just doesn't do Cory any good as far as getting his, getting a title shot when you play it safe like that. But now he's a torn tricep, you're out for a hot second.
And I think it was like official too, because his, the suspensions they give you afterwards, he's apparently suspended for a long time. Until he gets that checked out.
Yeah, checked out. Yeah, and most times you need surgery on that. That's a bad one.
Yeah.
There's been football players that retire from that. Says Dana, this is spinning back fist. Dana White walked out during the 4th round. Dana just walked out of the arena, is getting filled with booze.
And he didn't show up to the post-fight.
What the F, Cory? Yeah, it's just not going to do you any favors when you play it safe. Dana always says that. For Cory, I expected more. I expected a finish. You can't beat the guy up too much. You're talking about your torn tricep. That's a big, big deal, man. Yeah. But yeah, he played it safe, and now there's not a chance he's next in line for a title shot unless there's like major injuries. Probably 2 guys need to get injured before they look his direction. I would be willing to bet the UFC's like, all right, you're fighting Umar Nurmagomedov next. Like we're not entertaining anything else but that after a performance like that because they know he can't take Umar down like this and be forced to strike with him. So that's what they're gonna do. So he said, I love the crowd. I want to put on a good show. Of course, to me, that's beautiful martial arts. I know that people want to see blood. That's how it is. I've given them plenty of blood in the past. This is the way I had to win tonight. It's kind of funny, he said, the post-fight press conference, the fans were booing, but the reason almost that it was the way it was because I really wanted to be there for them. Huh? Yeah, he's just not. He'd been better just to, if he'd been better if he injured himself like the week before and didn't take the fight, and then the hype would still be on, because now, you know, once you have that kind of black guy, no pun intended, Dana White's not going to do you any favors. Guarantee he fights Umar next. Well, depends how long he's out with the tricep injury. That's a rough one, really rough injury.
And then Aljamain and Henry Cejudo also tweeted about him.
Don't anyone ever tell me or Merab that we're boring and don't do anything with takedowns. The audacity. Thank you, Cory Sandhagen. After that dud of a performance, it's me versus Merab for the next shot at the bantamweight strap. He's right. He's right. He had to, the credit you'd give to Cory is 2-week replacement. You're fighting a straight up grappler in Umar, and then he goes completely 360, and then you're fighting a guy with zero grappling, just heavy hands. You got to put that guy away, though, man. You just do at this level. Or at least if you got to go for broke, like he did towards the end of the 5th round with the Darces and the Anacondas. He kept trying to pull that off. Like, dude, where was that energy? The 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It's just a bummer, you know. And the fickle fan base, like, oh, he's garbage. It's like, man, you know how many dope performances Cory's had. So you're only as good as your last fight. They're not going to do him any favors. He's going to pay for this one. Just nature of the business. And if you're Dana and you're in the business of entertainment, which it is, yeah. Especially as the main event, and you're competing. Well, I shouldn't say competing, but same night as Nate Diaz, Jake Paul. You know, you want to be the talk of the town, and that did not leave a good taste in your mouth. But Cory nonetheless got the win. But they'll punish him, quote unquote, punish by giving him Umar. Guarantee it. Again, Umar's probably going to fight before then, because Cory's torn tricep is not something you just rehab and it comes back. You usually have to have surgery on that. So I'd assume Umar fights, and then as soon as Cory's ready, they're going to give him Umar. That's how it goes. Which would be better. Umar would be ranked higher, so it's a better look for Cory if we were to beat him, even if it was a boring one. But I don't think that can be a boring fight unless Umar's just, you know, humping him the entire fight. But that's tough to do to Cory Sandhagen. Let's take a little break from chatting about the Real Housewives of the fight game. If you could trade a bench warmer for a GOAT, that means greatest of all time, you'd do it, right? Get your business a game-changing pickup by choosing the commerce platform with the internet's best converting checkout. That's Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Whether you're a garage entrepreneur or IPO ready, Shopify is the only tool you need to start and run and grow your business without the struggle. Shopify puts you in control of every sales channel. So whether you're selling satin sheets from Shopify's in-person POS system or offering organic olive oil on Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform, we got you covered. All right, sports, cool. Selling signed sneakers, offering official outfielders outfits, we got you all covered. Fight-worn shorts, they got it all using Shopify. Once you've reached your audience, Shopify has the internet's best converting checkout to help you turn them from browsing to buyers. We got you covered, man. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is truly a global force, powering Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklyn, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across over 170 countries. All right, this is Possibility powered by Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/lowercase Schaub, Schaub. Again, that's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Schaub, lowercase, to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.com/lowercase Schaub. This episode of the Schaub Show is brought to you by my one and only, one of my favorite products on the freaking planet. We're talking about that juicy, juicy stuff from my friends at Happy Hippo. That's happyhippo.com. They got the K-Dips. This is freaking fantastic because, you know, I like to dip, and now I can do it with Happy Hippo. This is wintergreen. They get the razzle dazzle fruity flavor. They got powders. They got gummies. They got the highly concentrated shots. They got energy shots. Leaves you with a nice, warm, balanced, good mood feeling. Get your brain firing. Get your body right for whatever task you have that day, whether it's podcasting, stand up, going to the gym, being a dad, whatever it is, my friends at Happy Hippo got the best in the biz. That's happyhippo.com. Promo code is Thiccc23. That's thick with 3 C's, 23. You save 20% off for life by using Thiccc23 code. That's the promo code. happyhippo.com for the best products on the planet. Talking about Happy Hippo. Promo code's Thiccc23. You're welcome. Let's get back to the program. But the talk of the town was not the UFC fight night in Nashville. It was Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. You guys watched it?
Of course.
Yeah. Did you guys literally stream it, or what are we talking about here? You purchased?
I bought it.
Purchased?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, you guys are good fellas. Mm-hmm. You guys are good people. Yeah, this fight was, I was surprised, this fight was predicated on what version of Nate Diaz we were going to get. We know Jake Paul's young, but he only has 6 fights at the time. He was 5-1, right? Or does he have 8 fights? Either. How many fights do you have? So he has 8 fights total. So 7 fights going into this. So you're talking about a kid who's young, but specializes in just boxing, which is his advantage because it's a boxing match. He only has 7 fights. And he's fighting a guy, Nate Diaz, who has 0 boxing fights, but has boxing experience getting ready for MMA camps. And he's helped out the likes of Andre Ward and stuff like that, so he knows his way around the boxing ring. So it was this young up-and-comer YouTuber, influencer, boxer versus a legend in MMA, Nate Diaz, but an older Nate Diaz, a guy who has some miles on him. Is he taking the fight serious? I did not personally bet on this. I had a lot of people ask me, and I said, it's tough to bet against Jake on this. We don't know what version of Nate we're going to get, and I don't like betting on that. But if it's a Nate Diaz who's all in, not a bad bet at whatever was plus 375, plus 400. Not a bad, put $100, win 400 there if it's plus 400. So it's not a terrible idea to take that chance, only $100, and if you can win 400, it's not a bad bet. So what did we get? And that's why a lot of the predictions, not too many people predicted, I think, a decision. It was either, Nate finishes him off later in the rounds or Jake gets him out of there early. And I thought it was all predicated on no matter what version of Nate we get, if Nate can weather those first 3 rounds, and because the much younger, more explosive, only focus on boxing, Jake Paul cannot get him out of the first 3 rounds, it's going to be more tailored towards Nate Diaz. That was not the case here, because if you go to the CompuStrike numbers, Jake Paul not only matched the output of Nate Diaz, which Nate Diaz is known for that, but not only did he match, but he beat him in the overall volume, which is insane for a kid with only 8 fights. Insane. But I really think the takeaway here is, a lot of people are like, oh, that fight was trash, or here we go. So do they have the total punches keep going down? They have the totals, not round by round. Here we go. So power punches. So power punches thrown, 140 for Jake, 135 for Nate. Total jabs, 34 for Jake, only 8, and that's to the body, and that only 8 by Nate. Total punches to the body, 174. Oh no, this is way off. It's backwards. Power punches. Jake threw 289, and Diaz threw 347. And then when you go to total jabs, Jake threw 202, which is insane, and Nate threw 45. Total punches, Nate threw 392. Jesus Christ, Jake threw 100 more punches, threw 491. So to outpace a Nate Diaz is just insane. Would not have predicted that. Definitely didn't predict that. It shows you how serious Jake took this fight. But I do think the overall takeaway should be this. There's a lot of people going, oh, that was trash. This wasn't a good fight. If you're basing off of last week's phenomenal fight of pound for pound number 1 versus pound for pound number 2 or number 3 in Spence versus Crawford. Crawford being the number 1 pound for pound guy, and Spence being number 3. I think they have Inoue as number 2 or 1, just depends. But either way, you have top 3 pound for pound boxers on the planet competing at the highest level in actual boxing. All they do is focus on boxing. So I think one of the reasons why both these gentlemen take a lot of flack for this is you're assuming it's like that. But what everybody is forgetting is just because Nate is a quote unquote well-known boxer in the UFC does not make you a great overall boxer in the sport of boxing. Just because Anderson Silva is one of the greatest strikers of all time in the UFC doesn't mean it actually correlates to actual boxing. So even though Anderson is known for being a good striker, for one of the best of all time, being a good boxer, Nate Diaz known for really his boxing, more so for jiu-jitsu and UFC, but his boxing ain't too shabby. His output, he's knocked out some of the best guys to ever do it in UFC. That doesn't mean it's going to correlate to the actual sport of boxing. There's such a big difference. The distance, you have to worry about more things in MMA. There's a ton of variables. The footwork. So I think people are expecting a version of Nate Diaz because we label him as this boxer, but he's good for MMA boxing. It's a big, big difference. And you saw that difference because Jake Paul doesn't have that MMA background. All he does is focus on boxing. All he's competing is against boxers day in and day out in that ring in Puerto Rico. Is it Puerto Rico? Yeah, it's Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So he's going to look, Jake Paul looked more like a boxer than Nate Diaz did on Saturday night. And that's because that's all he does. Nate does it, but he also has to worry about a lot of other things. So you saw some of his technique with his feet are leaving the ground, which you can get away with that in the UFC. The way he would kind of rush in his distance and just kind of off balance in this weird. So it looks sloppy, but in MMA that works because when you get so close and you can use the grappling, you can use over-unders, you can wear the guy out. Nate was doing a lot of that. That's his default mode. That's what Nate Diaz does well. He wears you out, applies pressure, uses volume, and melts guys. In boxing, it doesn't really work like that. There's a different dance. There's different frequency. So I think some of the hate goes, oh, that was terrible boxing. Yes, as far as it goes, if you're referring to the likes of a Spence versus Crawford, they're two completely different things. You gotta look at this as one lane in combat sports and boxing in another lane. You can't look at a kid with 7 fights and a guy with 0 boxing fights and go, man, that's bad boxing compared to Spence and Crawford. It's two completely different products. I didn't assume that Jake or Nate were going to look like Crawford or Spence. If you did, you're a moron. It's not even remotely close. So with that being said, when I go, that was an impressive win by Jake. It's an impressive win over an MMA fighter, not another boxer. And Jake, this is exactly what Jake should be doing. This is where the money is at. This is where the fan base is at. Nate Diaz fan base is massive, massive. And so the knock on Jake is, yeah, but when he fought a real boxer, he lost. Yeah, because he only has 7 fights. Keep fighting the biggest names possible that, fancy themselves boxers from the UFC world and keep beating them up and getting the attention, getting all the money in the world. That's the move. I don't think Jake knows this. He fought one legit boxer. When I say legit boxer, even that's being friendly. You're talking about a guy that came off, that Love Island show, and we give him credit because his brother's the greatest heavyweight of all time in Tyson Fury. But is Tommy Fury a legit boxer? Well, he's fighting KSI in an exhibition match. That's your real boxer? Now, compared to the guys that Jake's fought, again, all Tommy Fury focuses on is boxing. So he's going to look more of the part that you guys want in a boxer. He did not beat that guy. That fight was terrible. That was not a good fight. Who cares? If I'm Jake, I ignore the noise, man. Keep fighting these guys with these huge names, and everyone thinks you're going to lose. Because remember, the narrative for the longest time was, this is fixed. This is fake. Nate, all that's bullshit. This is all fake. These guys are taking a fall. Ben Askren took a fall. Woodley took a fall. Anderson took a fall, which is insane. If you think of any of that, you don't. It's such a disgrace. You're doing a disservice to Ben Askren, who's a Hall of Famer, Woodley, who's a Hall of Famer, Anderson Silva, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, legend. You're assuming those guys are going to compromise their careers and their fight egos and take a fall for money. You're out of your fucking mind, dude. That was the narrative, right? So when they fight Nate, well, you're going to say Nate's going to take a fall for money? Never. He's the gangster, remember? So then he goes in there. And Nate, that fight wasn't that close in any facet. There was never any time you're worried about Jake. Maybe the later rounds, you're like, yeah, man, Jake seems to be slowing down a little bit, but Nate's power was never there. You're never worried about Jake getting knocked out in any capacity in that fight. When Jake knocked him down in the 5th and almost knocked him out of the ring, like, Jesus Christ. The first round, he thought he was going to get him out of there. In the 5th round, even though he knocked him down, I thought it showed composure. I thought it showed a young fighter learning from his mistakes, not trying to capitalize and get him out of there, which most young fighters, trust me, I know, I tried to do it myself, would rush in there and make mistakes, and that's where you lose fights. I thought that was a learning time for Jake, and he passed that test. So this fight wasn't that close. It wasn't that close again, nor should it be. All Jake does, he's younger. All he focuses on is boxing. Nate does not. Nate's at the twilight of his career. He has a lot of miles on him. Even if he decided to focus on boxing for the next year, he's probably still not going to look like Jake because he has all the muscle memory of a grappling. He's a jiu-jitsu specialist. He has a lot of miles on him. It's going to be tough to break those tendencies that he's developed through fighting the UFC for how long, coming off the Ultimate Fighter as a winner and the storied career that he's had. So this went down exactly how we thought. I thought Jake would have finished him, but I think it shows maturity, him not rushing in there and looking for, the kill. I think that's a sign of maturity. So I thought Jake looked great. I did think it was impressive. But again, you guys going, that's not impressive. He could have got him out of there. Nate looked like shit. No, Nate looked like a guy who fought in the UFC the last 15 fucking years and tried to fight in a professional boxing match. That's what he looked like. It's different. Nate has 15 minutes. You have 3 5-minute rounds. That's a different pace. There's different pacing, different kind of, you have more ways to feel him out. You can get away with certain antics, stuff like that. And when Nate started to do the antic stuff, the Nate Diaz thing, obviously his brother's infamous for laying down, being high when he fought Anderson Silva, got the 3-year suspension or whatever. Nate does things where he flips guys off and all that stuff. I think Nate realized he's not going to win this fight. He can't knock him out. Jake's better than he thought. Jake is, running away on the scorecards with us. He's already knocked me down, so that's a 10-8 round. Now let's do the Nate Diaz thing that his fan base likes. Turn my back to him, talk to the guy, make fun of him, put him in a guillotine. And so the Nate Diaz fan base goes, oh, dude, if this was a street fight, he would have beat him. Okay. And I know you guys love that stuff, and it's just, but that's a win for Nate. Him going, all right, I'm not winning this thing, but I still got to win with my fan base. Check this out, guillotine. Check that, fuck this guy.
I thought
you ain't shit.
I thought the exact same thing too. And plus he was super tired, so he's just trying to take some time to do that stuff. But I mean, in a real street fight, you do pick Nate though, right? If it was an actual street fight,
yeah, of course. Yeah. But I would also pick him in a basketball game. Who cares? That's not what this is.
I mean, I just want to make sure because you said if it was a street fight, then
yeah. But that's what are we talking about here? He beat him in the sport of boxing,
which Nate admitted to. People even said, do you think he won? He's like, nah.
Who would think? I mean, that's insane. No, of course, he definitely didn't win that fight. But again, this, even he got destroyed by Leon Edwards for 4 rounds and, 4 minutes, and he lands one good punch. Oh, dude, if this was in the street, Nate wins. That was the narrative. In this one, the guillotine, oh, dude, if this is real, if this was in the streets, okay. It's not what, this just, it's okay, So good for Nate, and it carries on. And I don't think Nate suffered any to his image, to his fan base. I think it was smart. And also, the MMA fan base is so fickle when it's like, we're on this guy's nuts, we're on his nuts. He loses one. Oh, he's the worst fighter of all time. He wins one. He's lost 3, wins one. A crazy knock. Oh, he's the best of all time. It's like politics. It's we live in these extremes in MMA, these major extremes. And then whoever you listen to, as far as journalists goes, or podcasters, or guys like me in the entertainment fight space, whoever you listen to on Monday mornings or during the week after a big fight, we live in extremes because when you make a crazy statement, when you make an extreme statement, oh, Nate should retire. Jake's an idiot. He looked terrible. Those get views. Those guys don't believe that. Whoever you listen to this week on this fight, and someone does something crazy like, I bet Nate Diaz would knock out Jake Paul. Nate Diaz should retire. Nate Diaz is done. That's how you get clicks. That's the business of YouTube. That's the business of podcasts. And those extreme takes, which nobody really believes, just like politics, there's always the extreme left, there's the extreme right. Most of us are in the middle. But you're not going to get attention if you stay in the middle. So we live in these extremes. And the sport lives in these extremes because that's what gets headlines. Saying, I actually thought it was a good product. Oh, bullshit. No. Be mean to him about it. And also, everyone wants to fight for, these fighters put their lives and their health on the line. They need something to fall back on after fighting. Dana should pay them more. Fighter pay. It's a shame. CT, all this stuff. And a guy like Jake Paul comes and allows a guy like Nate Diaz to fight him and make tens of millions of dollars. And you guys hate on Jake Paul. Or a Woodley who, name another fight Woodley could have got where you've got that notoriety, that amount of pay. You guys should be happy that Jake is here, man. Given these, no matter how you feel about him from his Disney days, YouTube days, whatever his background is, the point is he's given UFC fighters that you've watched for years take all this trauma and not get paid like the way they should, and they're finally getting their due, and it's not a terrible gig for them, and you guys are hating on it. Nobody else is doing this. Dana ain't doing this. None of these other leagues you guys like to watch are doing this. All these complaints about fighter pay and fighter equality and all this shit. And then this kid comes along, built this insane empire, and he gives these fighters that you love the biggest paydays they've ever gotten in their lives, and you guys hate on it. You guys hate it. Oh, this is bullshit, man. Oh, this is fake. These are set up. Hold on. But when Woodley was fighting, you guys were all upset that he wasn't getting equal pay. When Nate Diaz was fighting and you guys were all upset about this or that, and the man and Dana and the UFC as in general and the machine, they're fucking him over and he fucks the man. That's why we like Nate. And then he finally gets his biggest payday. You guys are saying, fuck this guy. Well, which one is it? You guys should be celebrating Jake. He's giving these guys the biggest platform they've ever had, the easiest night in the office for them because it's just boxing. They're not getting concussed. They're not getting their arms broken. He's giving them this huge platform, and you guys hate on it. This guy's giving them opportunities nobody else is giving. Give them the biggest payday ever. Give them finally what they're worth, and you guys hate on it. I don't understand it. Now, if you want to hate on it compared to Spence and Crawford or Floyd or insert huge name, Tyson Fury, you're looking at it all wrong. You guys should be happy that Jake's built this empire and he's given your favorite fighters an opportunity to make more money than they've ever made. And they're keeping them relevant. They're keeping the fan base. They're giving us something to talk about. You should be thankful. You shouldn't hate on it. But again, if you're viewing it like it was Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder or Usyk, Tyson Fury Usyk, your wires are crossed, man. You're just off on this. That's not this. This is something completely different. And that's okay. Because those fighters, for the longest, they were devalued, didn't get paid, got concussed, lost fights, got cut from the UFC. Then finally, you're getting guys that are leaving the UFC and getting more money than they've ever gotten in their lives. That's what this is. Celebrate this. Because I don't know how long this can be around. I don't know if this is a long-term thing. I don't know how long Jake wants to do this. I don't know how many big names are going to be left after, the Nate fight, the Conor fight's there. After that, it gets a little dicey. It gets a little dicey. And does Jake just want to keep doing this? We don't know. But while it's here, take advantage of it. Don't shit on it. Celebrate it. Buy the pay-per-views. Is it the same product you're getting when it comes to Tyson Fury and Usyk? No, it's completely different. But Jake Paul is taking care of the MMA royalty that you guys all know and love, that you complain about for years about equality and fighter pay. He's giving them their worth. That's what should be celebrated. I don't give a fuck what the product is. I don't care. I'm not looking at it to be these two elite level boxers. That's not what this is. You can find that over here. Go watch it. Did you buy the Spence Crawford fight? You didn't? Shut the fuck up. Are you going to buy Usyk's next fight? You're not? Shut the fuck up. Celebrate this. He's getting these guys paid. That should be your angle. He's finally paying people what they're worth. What he's doing for Amanda Serrano's insane, dude. Insane. Nobody else is doing that. How about Jeremy Stevens? You guys like Jeremy Stevens fights? He had a big platform, man. Celebrate that. You guys want to complain about fighter pay, and when any fighters go on to do anything else outside the UFC, you hate on it. Keep the same energy. You should be celebrating fighters that go on outside the UFC and get bigger, get more famous, and make more money. Across the board, whatever it is.
Yeah, there's no reason to hate on it.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Hate on is strong.
Everyone wants to hate on Jake Paul, but he's giving these guys an opportunity and a platform to make more money than they've ever made in their entire career, the entire careers in the UFC. Oh, it's a terrible product.
By the way, I bought that product and I didn't buy the UFC because I subscribed to ESPN. But so the UFC is a free fight. I had way more fun watching just the main event of Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz.
Way more because it's something different.
Card.
It's something different
of UFC. Yeah,
yeah.
No, but it was a fun fight all over around.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I wasn't looking at it like, oh man, technically,
it was a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, it was great, man. I had a great time. I was way more hyped for that. Could have been because of the smelling salts. I was way more.
I wanted to ask you about that too.
I was way more awake and hyped for Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. Way more. Is all I was thinking about the entire weekend. I was way more focused on that than I was Cory Sandhagen and Rob Font. Now, is Cory Sandhagen and Rob Font a more competitive fight, a more technical fight? Yes. This is different. Mm-hmm. You can't view them the same. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I had more fun, even though I obviously love Sandhagen and Font, but I really enjoyed watching the Paul.
I'd watch it all day.
Yeah, but so the salts. I saw you taking it.
I think Juju Mufus.
I don't know.
He sent me a bunch. I love it.
But I mean, so does it affect? Because remember we did the one chip challenge where it affects you like crazy and it's hardcore.
No, this is it hits you like a fucking ton of bricks, and then it's just you're awake. And my sinuses were cleared. I could breathe. He sent some to the crib. Juju,
you should bring it here.
I'm going to. Juju sent to me. I'm bringing some to the crib because I was like, oh, I want more. I did 2 or 3 times at Rogan's. He's like, you shouldn't do it too many times. Like, well, shut your mouth. I loved it.
That'd be awesome. Let's all try.
I loved it. It's so intense. It burnt like
I have no idea.
You
what
know,
to
like
expect.
a wasabi. Like when that it's an intense wasabi. It's just like boom.
Yeah, in your
it's
nose.
like that. But it goes away quick.
I like that. That it goes away quick.
I was so bored during no shade on Cory Sandhagen. I was so bored during that fight, and I was, I didn't sleep much, and then we were drinking. I was tired. I'm like, give me some of that smelling salt to wake me up for this Jake Paul fight, and I was crunk, dude.
And it doesn't affect you for the rest of the day? Just that one time?
It's a quick hit, like 10 seconds.
Dude, let's do it here.
And then you're awake. I've never breathed better in my life.
That's even cool.
I was like focused. I loved it. Loved it.
All right, you got to bring it in.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. I think before we do current mention, I think the question is what's next for Jake Paul?
That is a good question. What is next?
What do you think? What would you do?
So
this other thing a lot of people aren't given credit to is what Jake Paul's team, that guy with the MVP Productions, the MVP, whatever it is, the journey that they're taking Jake on, they're going to write books about. Mm-hmm. Because you look at the level of guys that he's fighting in his short boxing career, the amount of eyeballs that he's bringing, and just these smart moves. Like, could he fight a up-and-comer professional boxer who's 4-0 or 10-0, whatever? Sure. No one's going to pay attention. I know you guys want to see that. That makes no money. Jake's fans might tune in, but they're not really boxing fans. They're just Jake Paul fans. It's the level of difficulty is way higher, and he only has 7 fights. That doesn't make a lot of sense. For them to calculate and get a Nate Diaz and get a Woodley twice and get an Anderson Silva, and these are favorable matchups, and these bring in this curiosity not only from the MMA side, which is huge, and we're talking about it, and Dana was talking about it, not anymore, but was really big time talking about Jake Paul and just the level of notoriety that they're bringing. It should, and don't get me wrong, Jake Paul has a lot to do with it, but the team around him is something we've never seen, man. There needs to be credit there. Like the moves that they're making to up the ante on this stuff and get people intrigued by it is, dude, they're write books about this. It's insane. It's very calculated, very smart. It's hard to pull off too. Like that's why I said during the companion, when they zoomed out and you see that packed arena and this high level production, you got fucking Sean Porter speaking, you got Hardy there, you got Ariel, you got like these real time guys in the space. I just said, look what Jake's built. This is insane, dude. This kid was on the Disney Channel. Decided to start boxing, and in 7 fights, look at what he's built.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to beat Canelo. I'm not saying he's even go that direction, nor should he. All I'm saying is where he's at, look what he's doing. Despite how you feel about him, despite all that, whatever, with Logan Paul, Jake Paul, look what these brothers pulled off. Sold out arena in Dallas, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. Got the likes of a Nate Diaz who hated on this type of fighting for years. Got him to a main event. Comes into the arena in a fucking tank. Oh, and his brother competed in WWE. Was a massive event. Got on a private plane and made the fight. His brother competed in the WWE. These are 2 kids who started in Ohio with a fucking cell phone. And they're the biggest names in entertainment. Well, however you feel about them, whatever the suicide jungle forest in Japan, that stuff, the Jake Paul stuff, he did this, he had guns in it. I'm not saying any of that. I don't condone any of that. All I'm saying is look what 2 kids from Ohio did with a cell phone on YouTube. He's the main event in a sold-out Dallas arena. It was the talk of the town, dude. And his brother is competing in the WWE at the highest level. This is insane. Insane, dude.
Yeah. I actually recorded a clip that Jake Paul did on YouTube somewhere. He said something about like, him and his brother said something like, if you find something that you're good at, just go at it. Just keep going forward. Preach. This is when they were young, super young. I have so much respect for Jake Paul, especially because he didn't just do this. He actually trained. He actually became he's actually a good, really good boxer. I consider him a really good, especially with the time frame.
7 fights, yes.
Yeah.
He's and the entire world watching too.
Yeah. And you can see when he's in the press conferences with Nate Diaz, he puts on a little bit of a show, but then when Nate leaves, he's like, he kind of breaks character a little bit. He's like, what's he doing? This and that.
Did you watch his Netflix doc?
I haven't watched Netflix.
You watch it? Oh, Casey told me to watch it. I checked it out the other day.
I'm sure it's amazing, right? It's got to be great.
It's dope because you see that it's all calculated. You see that he's like
super smart at this.
Very smart, and it's all a troll job. You see that he's like, yeah, of
you
course.
Get it.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, he's pulled it over. The ultimate troll job. We're all tuning in. Everyone hates him. He doesn't care. Him and his brother, they've won, man. I just how this isn't an inspiration to everybody trying to do something, taking a risk. I don't understand
it. So much inspiration from it.
Do you know the amount of fucking huevos those 2 brothers have? if when you're 8 years old, you went, hey, you're gonna do this and this on YouTube, and then you're gonna be the face of boxing. And Logan's like, what about me? Yeah, you're also gonna be pretty big in boxing. You're gonna fight Floyd Mayweather, and then you're gonna jump over the WWE. And not only does he jump over, I don't know WWE. What I hear from people that do follow it, like, dude, he's fucking talented. What?
Yeah. You see him, like Logan Paul, jumping off these crazy ass
This day and age of stay in your lane, that's gone. Don't limit yourself.
Of course. Yeah.
If these guys can do this and there's other guys coming from different backgrounds and jumping over into this lane, the stay in your lane, that's because everybody else is terrified to go in other lanes. Look what happens when you're not. Look what these guys are doing. No matter how you feel about them, I don't like their content. I don't like the way he said this. I'm not talking about any of that.
Yeah.
Just look what they're achieving.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Nuts.
Absolutely incredible. And remember, we would talk way before when Jake was calling out Conor, like so many years ago, we're like, that's so stupid. That's so dumb.
Insane. We're like, this
calling
is
his
stupid.
It's never. And then suddenly he builds himself up so much, works his ass off, and gets to a point where he beats UFC champions, right, or a champion, right, in boxing. Knocks out Ben Askren, who was a champion.
He's beat 3 champions,
dude. Yeah, so he's
Anderson Silva, Ben Askren, and
Tyron Wood. Yeah,
3 champions.
Yeah, and you can't say it's fake either. If you actually watch the footage, it's legit. Yeah. So it's incredible. And now that we're actually talking, like he could actually potentially fight Conor, fight like, these big heads. It's incredible what he's done.
And after seeing this, would you favor Jake or Conor? Because 6 years ago, remember, huge Conor fan. You guys know this. Conor holds a dear place in my heart.
You said Dick Ryder since day one.
Dick Ryder since day one. Gave me opportunities when I was with Showtime that made my career because he decided to fight Floyd Mayweather, which is insane. One of the biggest, combat fights of all time. I had the privilege of being on that, on the broadcast. Loved it. So Conor holds a dear place in my heart. Conor versus Jake next year. Who would you favor to win that fight?
Right now?
Yes.
Jake.
Yeah. Nuts.
Yeah.
And we're not hating in any facet. Nobody knows that hate and none of that stuff. I'm just like, Jake will probably win that fight.
We're just looking at the data.
Like even saying out loud is like, and Casey's the biggest Conor fan in here. It's like, I probably favor Jake because he's training. He's young.
Casey,
he's taking it serious.
MMA, different, but boxing?
I'm trying straight boxing.
Yeah, boxing.
Now let me ask you this. And this is kudos to Floyd and Conor. Not kudos to Floyd. Kudos to Conor. Who looked more like a boxer in these extreme, fights? Who looked more like a boxer? Jake looked more like a boxer than any of them. So let's take Jake out of it. Who looked more like a boxer from UFC guys coming over into the boxing world? Did Nate look better as far as straight boxing? Did Nate look better than Woodley or Ben Askren? He looked better than Ben.
Well, of course, Ben, yeah.
Looked better than Ben.
Yeah.
Did he look better? So the real question is, who looked more like a boxer? Conor against Floyd or Nate against Jake?
Shit,
who had a better outing?
Question.
Conor.
Yeah, Conor definitely looked better.
Conor. Who's known for their boxing? Nate. It just shows you the difference. That's all I'm trying to. And this is no knock on Nate. Boxing is completely different. And for those true boxing heads, those dinosaurs, those straight boxing, like, oh, I hate this stuff. No. This is showing you how hard boxing is. The sweet science, they call it the sweet science for a reason. It's showing you how difficult boxing is because our very best in the UFC come over it and they don't look good. That's how hard boxing is. So I think the MMA fans are gaining a more they should, I don't know. They should gain more of appreciation for actual high-level boxing. Holy shit. I seen that guy knock out dudes in the UFC. And how's he looking this? It doesn't look very good. That's how hard boxing is. Yeah, but he's trained, I know, but he trains in multiple martial arts. He has to worry about multiple things when he fights in the UFC. He can't just focus on boxing. Also, boxing distance, boxing when it comes to the small 4-ounce gloves and inside a cage is completely different. You're almost talking about a different sport than it is compared to real boxing, man. Different animal. So I think as much as those old boxing purists want to hate on this stuff, I actually think it's building boxing up and people go, damn, those guys are fucking good. Yeah. Different animal. Spence Crawford, man, those guys look good. Yeah, different animal. But kudos to Conor. No one looked at a Conor fight and went, that guy can't box. He went, shit, Floyd fucked him up. But, Conor didn't look like, to Nate, he is fighting Jake Paul. Jake Paul looked better than all of them because all he's doing is focus on boxing. But you were never like, oh, Conor's out of, his balance is off or his footwork's off or he looks awkward or, man, he's stumbling over his feet or none of that. That was even the narrative on that thing. Floyd's a way better boxer. That's how hard boxing is, man. It's the sweet science. That's why guys have 50 fights before they turn pro, 100 fights before they turn pro. Boxing takes years and years and years and years to even remotely get okay at it. It's very, very tough, man. It's the sweet science.
Very true, but also like MMA is also super complicated. So someone from boxing coming to MMA
gets annihilated.
So it's just like
James Toney.
That's
the thing. James Toney looked fucking awful. Yeah, that's there's two different things.
Yeah,
very, very different.
So I want to ask you this.
Here's the thing. It's okay. I'll still watch. But I'm not expecting Nate to look like fucking Usyk. You guys are. I'm not expecting Jake to look like Tank Davis. You guys are. It's impossible what they're doing.
Yeah. So you know how you heard the pop for Nate Diaz in the arena? It was like hardcore. It was all about Nate Diaz, and they were booing Jake Paul. But you know, if you look at
what Jake wants.
If you look at the data, though, right? So Jake Paul has way bigger of a reach, bigger following, and all this stuff. So I'm wondering if, and plus, the thing that kind of sucks for Jake Paul too. He even said that sometimes, since his fans are younger, a lot of them will be streaming the fight, so they're not actually buying the pay-per-views. So that's tough on him as well. But it was a filled audience. I'm sure the pay-per-view price will be decent, right? But I mean, like, even though Jake Paul has that reach, so all the people that are buying tickets at the arena were for Nate, or do you think they are fans of both, but they just prefer Nate or something like that?
They're fans of Nate. I'm sorry, they're fans of Jake.
Yeah.
But they want to see Jake lose. Jake's the heel, and he's built his empire based off the heel. So, for example, MC Hammer was my manager for a long time. You guys know this. I get a lot of hate. MC Hammer goes, because MC Hammer got a lot of hate. He goes, when I would sell merch, I used to make shirts that say MC Hammer sucks. I sold 10 more times those than I did of my regular merch. And these are my fans. Brian takes the show, but when I would sell a shirt that said something negative about me, my fans would buy that shirt over the other shirt. So for Jake, they're tuning in, they're buying his merch, they're doing all this stuff, but it's this heel thing. It's this negative thing. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, because so you're fans of both, but I mean, yeah.
People are weird.
But I mean, I'm also fans of fighters that I like. I like this fighter better than this fighter. I'm fans of both fighters,
Yeah.
So I guess it could be the case.
It's a weird world.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like overwhelming Nate Diaz chants, like crazy.
Yeah. But then also Jake's fan younger, right? So they might not be going to live events.
10-year-olds.
Yeah, like 10, 12-year-olds. The parents are like, what? I'm not going to a fucking boxing match. So maybe they're not coming. Nate's a massive celebrity in mixed martial arts world. His fans are older, definitely older. His demo's probably shit.
It's wide.
Because you got to remember, it's not, because Nate Diaz fan base, Nate Diaz won the Ultimate Fighter how many years ago? You're talking 15 years ago at least? Probably 50. Before I fought in Ultimate. So he probably won Ultimate Fighter 15. They probably filmed it 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Ultimate Fighter 5.
Just type in Ultimate. Yeah.
Year.
What year was that? 2007, dude. 16 years ago.
Yeah.
16 years ago. So, his fan base is going to be that fan base where they have money. They go to the live events. You're talking about a much older fan base who are going to attend live events. Jake's fan base, super young. I went with that lady the other day. She brought her daughter. She's like, do you know Jake Paul? I'm like, what? Yeah. And she was 7, 8. There ain't no 7, 8-year-olds who are a fan of Nate Diaz buying his merch. It's just an older. So they're more willing to pay for those events, go to the events. The guys get together. You're talking about dads. It's just different demo.
Yeah.
A lot of, and Jake's problem is because demo's so young, these kids they're not showing the respect and paying for the fights. They're illegally streaming it.
Because they're so good at it too.
It's impossible to catch them with Express VPN and stuff. It's impossible to catch them. So they might say, Jake Paul's fight does whatever 200,000 pay-per-view buys. But when you talk about illegal streams, you talk about people watching, it's well over. I mean, you're talking 2, 3, 5, 6 million people.
Never know.
He's all right though. What else you got?
So you did kind of mention this on Joe Rogan's podcast, but you didn't really dive into it. So Jake Paul said he's making a 7-figure offer to your boy Bradley Martyn versus Mike Perry, and Mike Perry answered saying like, "I hit like a 260 pounder anyways. I'm down to fight."
Yeah, so it started right. Bradley wants to fight Mighty Mouse.
Or you just always ask everyone.
He asks everybody. He wants to grapple
fight?
Mighty Mouse, which is going to happen in September. And then, obviously Jake Paul offers him a fight against Mike Perry. So is he talking about a straight boxing match? Because I'll do Bradley a favor, and me and Bradley's talking. Bradley's not trying to box. Bradley's not a boxer. He knows his limitations. He's not a boxer. He would never fight Mike Perry in a boxing or bare knuckle match. That's not his thing. Now, if Perry wants to grapple, I bet Bradley would entertain that. And I was talking about this with Brian Callen on Fire and the Kid, which we filmed in Austin yesterday at the Drinking Bros set. I said, do you think is more favorable to Bradley Martyn? Grappling with Mighty Mouse, who's pound for pound GOAT, quick as fuck, legit black belt, many times over, ridiculous submissions in the UFC and, won championship. Is he going to have more success because Mighty Mouse is smaller but way more skilled than Mike Perry's in grappling, even though Mike Perry probably maybe walks at 190, but he's maybe a purple belt, not known for submissions, not known for his wrestling. Would you, if you're a Bradley Martyn fan, do you think he has a better opportunity against Mighty Mouse because he's 130 pounds, maybe 140 walking around? Or does he have a better opportunity to have success against a guy like Mike Perry, who's slower than Mighty Mouse? He's not a high-level black belt. He's not a high-level grappler. He doesn't have a wrestling background. I told Brian, I said, I'd take my shots if I'm Bradley, and it's just grappling, I'd take my shot with Mike Perry as far as grappling goes. Mighty Mouse going to be hard to get under. You're not going to get a single leg. Now you're going to be able to pick him up and do that, whatever good luck. Mike Perry, you're going to have more realistic, a bigger body, easier to get to his legs, the strength there, with not as skilled as a Mighty Mouse. I think he has a better opportunity to out-grapple Mike Perry. I don't think he out-grapples anyone, to be very clear. But if you're on Team Bradley Martyn, you'd rather see him go against Mike Perry than Mighty Mouse. Mm-hmm. Now, the intrigue is Mighty Mouse is tiny. His name's Mighty Mouse. But Mighty Mouse is so skilled.
So the stuff I'm seeing here is in a street fight, which obviously that's not going to happen. So that's the challenge. Yeah, Jake Paul saying Bradley Martyn versus Mike Perry in a street fight. Mike Perry's down, but that can't be sanctioned.
You can't be sanctioned. Can't be any of that.
Yeah.
So Tough Guy doesn't want to back it up. It's time for Bradley to either man up or shut up. And Bradley, I have 7 figures for you. 7 figures cash to fight Mike Perry in quote unquote street fight, which is what you're talking about. It's not boxing, not MMA. It could be a street fight. Mike Perry's already down. Says he's going to do it. You're bigger than him, so this goes along with your whole size advantage theory. And you now have the opportunity to make 7 figures to fight Mike Perry, a massive name, prove to the world, maybe prove me wrong, maybe prove everyone else wrong about your theory of thinking that you can beat these smaller guys in a street fight. That's the deal. Take it or leave it, man up or shut up. Now, Bradley originally, his original plan is he wants to fight Logan Paul. And he'll fight Logan Paul in an MMA fight.
Wow.
I think that's more realistic than, a Mike Perry. What are you talking about here? Like this, Bradley's never going to take that fight. I spoke to Bradley about this. Bradley goes, no hate on Mike Perry at all. I've never heard of him. He just, he never heard of Mighty Mouse. So I was like, Perry's a savage dude. As far as bare knuckle goes, like the guy who's a born pit bull. Like you don't want to fight that guy.
So apparently Logan called him out?
Yeah, Logan called him out. Okay. So he's just doing it for clicks. And then Bradley's like, dude, come to my gym. No cameras, nothing. Let's fight in the street. Now that's stupid. If we're going to do this, let's make some money. So is Logan down to fight Bradley? Because that's more fun. Bradley fighting Mighty Mouse. Bradley fighting, Mighty Mouse, you're talking about a legend. Bradley fighting Mike Perry, that's not happening in a sanctioned fight. Bradley versus Logan Paul, sign me up.
That sounds way more fair, yeah.
That's more fair. No one's really going to get hurt. It's like they both.
No one's going to get hurt.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like Mike Perry's going to.
Not by pro fighter,
Mike Perry change your DNA.
Yeah.
Like Mike Perry versus Bradley Martyn, you're allowed punches, he's going to change your health. I don't want that for Bradley. Mighty Mouse grappling match, he's not going to know he's getting hurt. Logan Paul, Bradley in a boxing, and I think he would MMA fight Logan because he's thinking his grappling's going to be the difference. Take my money. I'll watch that. That's where this should lead. We should point our energy toward Logan versus Bradley, not Bradley getting murdered by a fucking bare knuckle world champion. Did you see what he did to Luke Rockhold, who's skilled as shit? How dare you? What else you got?
All right, since we talked about Logan Paul a little bit here, he was in a scuffle. And no one knows exactly why this happened, but I'll just show you the video real quick here. See him on the right? So someone pulls a chair out. People fall down.
Has to be Nate Diaz fans. Nate
he was
Diaz fan
involved.
base is gangster. It's funny to see him still in his WrestleMania or WWE outfit.
Like he just literally didn't change and just flew over.
Yeah,
and came by.
He looks like he's one of the characters from Kick-Ass.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that one I was gonna say? So anyway, you talked about it on Rogan's podcast, but there's that guy Derek from Jake Paul's team, that the dorky skinny guy.
Yeah.
And he called out Nate Diaz again.
Oh, did he?
In a bad way. Like in the press conference, he's like, I hope Jake Paul knocks you the fuck out, this and that. And then Nate went on this tirade.
But I thought Jake fired him.
No, he's still
This is all trolling.
It must, but Nate. It seemed like Nate was legitimately, really pissed off. So he said the F word,
Yeah.
that F word. He said
The N word.
He said a bunch of stuff.
It's hilarious.
He was like, dude, these guys disrespecting us like this and blah blah whatever.
Yeah. I'm with Nate on that.
I can't believe that even happened. Like
that stuff's not cool.
I imagine that.
I think for Jake, like because a lot of the MMA fan base and casuals view this as like a gimmick, doing that stuff pushes that narrative more. Don't allow that. We don't. You doing what you're doing that's enough. This guy we don't need.
Dude, I hate this guy. I don't care if it's a troll job or not. I hate him. I don't like this guy at all.
I think everybody does, bud.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm sure people are going to see him on the street. I don't want him to get destroyed, but you can't say stuff
if he comes across the wrong Nate Diaz fans or Nate Diaz crew,
they're
he's
gonna
gonna get
what
dealt
are you
with.
doing, man?
He'll be singing a different tune.
Yeah. So this is a real quick one. Conor McGregor, during the whole time that he's like watching the Jake Paul fight, because he's saying like the Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul. He said Nate Diaz will still do the trilogy no matter what happens. But as he's watching the fight, he's like, "Fuck this! What's up, sweetie?"
Yeah, she looked amazing. Yeah,
she looked incredibly hot.
Yeah, she's.
So I'll just play a
very,
little bit of this. Where she takes off her. Oh, Sweetie or Sweetie?
Sweetie.
But yeah,
God, dog.
So Conor was like shouting her out.
Wonder if Conor's wife's ever like, "Hey, man," but she knows what she signed up for. I assume.
Yeah, she's super rich.
Yeah, and I do. So I'll say this too. The last thing on Jake Paul. Mm-hmm. Jake Paul offered Nate Diaz MMA fight. Where this gets tricky again, and Nate would be a huge favorite in that, and he should be. If that were to happen in PFL, and Nate goes the PFL direction for the money, that $10 million or whatever they're offering him, if he does do that, you're never getting the trilogy fight with Conor. Dana's not going to allow it.
What if he wins? Oh, he should win, but
because him fighting for another organization, Dana's never going to let him come back. Knowing what I know about Dana, that if he does decide to do that, then you're forfeiting the Conor McGregor fight in the UFC. And I don't think, and Jake has a deal with PFL, I don't think it's going to allow him to fight in the UFC. So I think if Nate, they got to figure it out what's best. Because he would much easier fight against Jake in MMA, right? 10 million. Well, how much would you make fighting Conor McGregor in the UFC? Legit fight, big fight, main event, the media behind it, the powerhouse machine of the UFC. Like, what do you want to do here?
it seems like he would make pretty good money either way, but probably way more in UFC. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
So Ariel apparently did an interview with Yuri Prochazka, and then according to Jamal Hill, when he saw the interview, he was saying like, you're kind of pushing Prochazka to say some bad stuff about me, right? And if you watch the interview, it looks a little, I don't know, a little odd, but I don't know. So anyways,
Journalist gonna journalist.
yeah. So after that happened, Jamal did this whole video about Ariel being like this hater, this and blah blah.
Where'd he do it at?
In his own podcast.
He has his own podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so then Ariel found out about it, and Ariel was at the weigh-ins for the Paul Diaz fight, and he, said, okay, yeah, I heard what you said. Why don't you come on my podcast and we'll talk about it? Right. And he said, like, yeah, I have all the receipts of what you said, this and that.
Ariel has the receipt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, just come on the podcast and we can, hash it out. And then,
That's fine.
but then Jamal was like, no, I'm not going to go on your podcast. You come on my podcast.
Type move.
And then I have other receipts. You said it ended on a good note, but then his last messages were like not on a good note. And he posted it on his
Jamal did?
yeah, on his podcast. I don't know who's right, wrong, but I mean,
Real Housewives of Mixed Martial Arts.
and I think the last thing I saw was like Ariel saying like, yeah, it's whatever. I'm not going to go on your podcast. This is what I kind of remember seeing, but I don't remember exactly.
I'd have to see the interview.
And they said by Zoom either. You don't have to be physically at the podcast. You could be by Zoom as well.
I bet Ariel would do it.
I think he was like,
Oh, he doesn't want to do it.
Here we go.
Ariel puts Z like he's sleeping. Jamal with another response to the response to the response. Sheesh, so much drama. Good content for a budding channel though. Well played. Saw this latest one. More lies, more made up stuff. His manager knows, but all good. I'm bored. Offer on the table if you change your mind. I bet they make up. And then Hawani then shared a screenshot of the conversation between Jamal Hill's manager, Brian Butler, which prompted Hill to retaliate with a barrage of tweets. Like I said, you reached out for your boy, and why didn't you add the phone call in between these text messages? Where he brought up not just me, but Buckley as well. You're so desperate, you exposing yourself. I'm always real. Just man up and own your shit. He had real ones that follow the sport know what this is about. When it started, how long I've kept quiet, and why the Yuri interview was the last straw.
Yeah, so people should just watch that year interview and just take what.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to really comment on it. I mean, drama. There's always drama in this world.
Yeah.
But one of them should just go on the show and squash the beef. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think since
like I told Ariel when me and him were beefing, I'm like, I think I was planning to go to New York, so I was like, I'll come on the show. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I'd go on his show. I don't hate the guy. I think he's one of the best, if not the best journalists we have.
Yeah,
I think it's fun for the fans to talk about. It's more drama for the fans. I never take it that serious.
Alrighty.
I bet Jamal Hill and Ariel's not even thinking about it. The fans are. It's a Real Housewives of combat sports. What's that Mike Tyson saying?
Oh. So I think. Hold on, he goes. He trusts in I guess they did get together at some point, and he says
Yeah, Francis said Mike's part of his camp.
Mm-hmm. Well, he definitely asked him in the beginning he wanted to train with him. I guess they did kind of meet up and do a little bit of training.
And go up to the quote with Mike saying, tougher fight than anyone thinks. Yeah, listen, I said this to Rogan. I said Fury has a better shot at winning this fight against Tyson Fury. I'm sorry, Francis has a better shot of beating Tyson Fury in a boxing match than Conor does beating Floyd. Because they're heavyweights, because the one-shot knockout power. Mm-hmm. If he just goes wild and that anything lands, Fury's in trouble. And I do think if I'm in Francis's ear, we're going for broke 1 round, 2 rounds max. This is going to be a 10-round, 12-round fight where you're going to outclass this guy. It's just not in the cards. You do it like the Rosenstruck fight. You're fighting like, Lisa Simpson when she's fighting Bart and spinning the... You remember we fought Rosenstruck and was just like, fuck it. Technique out the window. If one of these lands, this thing's over. That's what you got to do. You're not going to outclass Tyson Fury. It's going to be very tough to hit. We're training for 2 rounds of fucking Fury in Saudi Arabia. 2 rounds.
And remember we watched
6 minutes of pure Francis Ngannou power.
Mm-hmm. And we watched that slow motion thing.
You're gonna lose. If you don't get done the first 2, we're gonna lose. We're willing to take that.
Just give up.
It's 2 rounds of fucking Fury. Good luck to anybody who can withstand that power for 2 rounds. If anybody can, it's Tyson Fury. His footwork's insane. His defense, insane. I get all that. I'm saying if one of them fucking African bombs land, we going Sizzler. And then there's a rematch. Because you're not going to outclass Tyson Fury in 10 rounds or 12 rounds, whatever they're doing. It's not happening. It's not on the cards. But what we do have is this atomic bomb from fucking Nigeria.
So that's his best bet, just like Swarm.
Dude, technique out the window, just throwing bombs.
I agree. You always mention this, right? Is this the one that you saw? Because I can't.
Nope. That one's terrible,
I haven't seen the actual. I kept Googling it. I couldn't find the actual thing.
That one's awful.
All right.
No,
so this is Yuri Pashka
2 faces.
Alex.
I can't believe you can't find it. I'll find it for you. It's all over.
All right, send it to me later.
Yeah,
I Googled it. Poster. Blah,
no, it's just on Instagram.
Oh. Anywho. Oh, so Pahea, he said on an interview with I think Block Asset, like he would like to train with John Jones, and John Jones agreed so that they would train together.
That'd be cool. Mm-hmm. John has Gordon. I was trying to get Gordon Ryan on Fighting the Kid, and then Gordon was like, "Oh, sorry, man. Albuquerque trained with John Jones." Like, yeesh, Jesus Christ.
They're like shooting guns and stuff too.
Yeah, and fucking choking people unconscious. That's sick.
I'll say that for later. So this one, I didn't know this, but so there was a one championship over the weekend.
Yeah, I posted about it. Thanks for following.
I'm not on social media that often, but anyways, so Ty Rotolo, I saw this and this bothered me so much. His opponent basically tapped out once and then said, "What? I didn't tap out." So Ty Rotolo came back.
Tapped
I'll just show you out, and then you'll see his reaction after that.
Those twins are insane.
Yeah.
Our boy Mikey Mushimeshi got it done.
So he slaps him in the ass. Right?
He tapped up there.
But he's like, "Nah." Just told him goes back.
He's like, "Oh, really? Why didn't the ref stop it?"
So that's a tap. That's 2 taps. But look at the guy. He's like, "What?"
The guy's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Hey, bud, not only did you get tapped out once, but twice.
And he still says he didn't get tapped out. Ugh, that bothers me so much. But yeah, anyway, your boy Mikey Musumeci also won.
Yeah, dog. John Lineker won.
Yep.
Our boy Buchecha did not look great. Striking has some work to do, but he's new.
Alrighty.
Mikey Musumeci with the triangle armbar. He's such a beast.
And I think so Drake did a 6-figure bet. He lost, obviously. He bet on Nate. Okay. This was kind of cool. This is a fighter in the UFC, Cody Durden. He had a Life Rips mouthpiece, and Chris D'Elia posted about it for the fights.
Did Chris pay this guy? There's no way. Chris doesn't know UFC in any
I doubt it.
Little does he know this fighter. That's dope, though.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Bless you. And these are the fights.
You got a fight night, not going to knock your hair back. Some of my favorites are fighting, though. Vicente Luque versus Dos Anjos, phenomenal main event. Then you got our boy Khalil Roundtree. I should wear shoes today. I'll wear them this week. He sent me some dope thick boy shoes. Khalil Roundtree versus Chris Dacus. Vienna's fighting. Never met that. Hottie. Juliana Miller, fan favorite. It says Cub Swanson. Is that still going down? It's Wikipedia.
What's it? UFC?
Go to UFC, man.
He's it's
going down. All right. Cubs fighting.
Dawadu.
That's a good fight, too. That's on Saturday?
Yep. Apex. So that's 4 p.m. Pacific.
I'll be at the UFL with you.
Yep.
But Friday, 2 shows only, almost sold out. Stand Up Live in Phoenix, Arizona. It can be hot during the day, either Friday or Saturday. You can catch me at JT Wings, eating all the wings. But Phoenix, 1 night only, August 11th. That's this freaking Friday. Then Omaha, Nebraska, August 16th, 1 night, 2 shows only. Kansas City, Missouri, 1 night only, 2 shows, August 17th. And then Covina, California, Covina Laugh Factory, Brian Callen and myself, Firing the Kid, September 8th and 9th. Then Spokane, Washington, September 21st through the 23rd. That's one of my favorites, Spokane, Washington. Then Skankfest to close September. Skankfest, Las Vegas, September 29th through October 1st. Niagara Falls, November 4th through the 5th. We'll have a bunch more dates coming up being announced. But Phoenix, I will see you this Friday, Stand Up Live. All right? And then I'm off to Omaha and Kansas City. All right, kids, that's it. Be nice to each other. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, do all the things these YouTubers tell you to do. Love you. See ya.